Hello, good afternoon, beautiful soul. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? I wanted to get back on here today and speak once again about emotions. Now, the topic of emotions has gotten me ever since I decided to, masturbate with so much information that I stopped for so long and got back into my reading. And the more that I felt these emotions coming through me, bliss and happiness and excitement and joy and purpose, it was emotion and excitement to see women soar, men soar, the world awakening, so many things that I have let go of for so long. So today I want to speak about emotions, thoughts that cause behavior. So the emotion, the thought, and the behavior. And yesterday I spoke about triggers, emotions, outcomes, and reactions. Okay, so when we look at emotion, we want to feel, and the more that you're able to feel and connect with emotion, it's easier to become spiritually connected. It's all energy. Emotions are energy. Good energies, not so good energies, not great energies, whatever you want to call them. Good, bad. Those are the two spectrums that we're going to look at. So I want to talk about emotions. What emotions come to the surface? So when we're looking at emotions, if you have a happy emotion, what triggered thought are you receiving? What is a triggered thought that you are receiving? Now, when you have a triggered thought, say you have happiness, your triggered thought could be, I could almost feel like, let's go to the park. It's almost like that inner child's coming out of me. So let's go to the park because we could go skiing, or we could go tubing, seeing it's winter in Canada, right? So I have this emotion, it's happiness, it's joyful, it's adventurous, right? It's curiosity. Then all of a sudden my thought is, let's go tubing, let's go skiing, let's go outdoors, let's go hiking, let's go canoeing, whatever you want to do, right? That's the thought. Because the emotion triggers out a thought. And from the thought, we create a behavior. So what is that behavior that you're starting to connect to, right? So from emotion to thought, a behavior could be becoming more active, becoming healthier, becoming more body conscious, food conscious, all these different things. So when you're looking at the emotion of something, of your own emotion. I'm going to go back to anger, right? Because in 2020, I dealt with a lot of anger. And then when I went into the thought process, when I sat and meditated, all these thoughts came up when I asked the question, why do I feel so angry? Then the behaviors of past lives showed up. The behaviors of childhood showed up. The behaviors, all these different behaviors of who I was showed up that caused the emotion of anger. So when we get to the emotional part of everything, right? Emotions speak. Energy speaks. And if I'm carrying this emotion of anger, then I have this thought that comes to my mind. And sometimes those thoughts weren't healthy thoughts. They were negative triggers as well, right? So these thoughts would come to my mind. So I had the emotion was anger. The thought was, I like to take someone down. And the behavior was radical behavior. So in order to change my behavior, I had to change my thought process. And then what happened was my emotion changed. So see how we could go from the emotion, thought to the behavior, and the behavior, the thought to the emotion. Everything is healable when we work backwards. So what emotion are you feeling right now? Do this exercise. What emotion are you feeling right now? What thought gets triggered from that emotion? So sometimes if you're in a marriage, right away you can think, I'm not happy, right? Unhappiness. What thought comes to your mind? It could be like, I want a divorce. And then what behavior happens? Then you might have an argument with your husband or wife, or you start having affairs, or you start partying out late. Those are behaviors. So when you have now, if you go through your behavior, that all of a sudden you're partying, you're going out, having affairs, or you're just angry constantly at your partner, then you go to your thoughts. How can I change that? It creates a different emotion, because now you're going to a thought. How can I change these different behaviors that I'm lingering in, right? Sometimes people say, I want a divorce. Okay, so great. So now we have divorce. Now the different thought comes through. What do I have to do? What do I have to curate? What do I have to prepare for? And then boom, another emotion comes up. You go through millions of emotions when it comes to divorce. I've seen many women. I've helped many women through divorce. Many women through divorce. And then all of a sudden, you have this other emotion that comes up. Usually women are empowered. They become more confident. They become more awakened. They become, all these beautiful things happens, right? So think of what emotion that you may be going through. Think of the thought that shows up. So another example could be as a career, for example. You wake up in the morning on Monday and you're like, I just hate my job. It's like all this hatred, and the people you work around with are just, I don't want to see Sally, and I can't stand John, and all these thought processes come up, right? So see how the thought process, you think about all these other things, and then what is the behavior, right? You might be at work, you might be somber, you may not be outspoken, you may just sit there and just be into yourself and not really allow yourself to be free from all these lower vibrational frequencies. So when it comes to healing all parts of your emotions, they create a domino effect of other things, regardless of its reactions, regardless of its outcomes, regardless of its behaviors, was a thought process, triggers. There's a lot of different things that take place. And when we work through the energetic force of this, when we work through the energetic frequency of all this, I could see exactly everything that goes through. So that's why I like to teach you the emotion, because a lot of people are not even aware of their emotion. A lot of people have no clue about what's going on with their emotions, right? Because they're just, it's a robotic everyday experience that they may be going through. But when you have awareness to say, for example, when I was going through depression, you just feel down, you don't want to get out of bed. It's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. But when you give that emotion a title, which I gave it depression, my thought was, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to wake up and not want to get out of bed anymore. I don't want to have these suicidal thoughts anymore. I don't want to be sitting in isolation anymore. Those were my thoughts. And then my behavior changed, where I wanted to be around people than rather being all alone. So my behavior went to, I want to surround myself with people, right? So my emotion was down. My emotion was depression. That's the title I'm going to give it. The thought was, why am I feeling like this? I don't want to get out of bed, which is also a behavior as well. Why do I feel like this? I don't feel good, blah, 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 blah. And then our behavior. So when we change our behavior, we change our thoughts and we activate a new emotion. Okay? So there's just so many things that we are able to connect when we connect to our emotion in order to activate a new sense of energetic frequency in order for you to awaken and move forward in your life. So the more that you trust yourself in healing your emotions through your thought process, what are you saying to yourself? How are you speaking to yourself? Are they imprisoned thoughts? Or are they freeing thoughts? Especially right now, what we're going through in this world, especially right now, the emotion is fear. The thought is, are we ever going to get into this? The behavior is wear 1 to 3 masks and stay away from people, right? It's a perfect situation. Thank you. That's a thing. The emotion is fear. The thought is, am I going to survive? The behavior is sometimes for people suicide, which please, for the love of God, reach out to someone if you're going through that thought process and behavioral process, okay? There's always a better tomorrow than today. Trust me, right? So what is the emotion? The emotion is lack, right? The thought again could be, what do I need to do to get out of this? The behavior would be start looking for something, start becoming something, start creating something. So get to know your emotions. Get to title your emotions. Get to awakening different emotions that are dormant inside of you. And start to evolve from your emotional state. We are emotional beings. We want to be around people if we want to be around. We want to hug people, want to touch people, because that's an emotional sense of self, right? So become more empowered within yourself. Change your emotional outcome, which changes your thought outcome, which changes the behavior and the truth of who you are. Right? Until we connect again, have a great day. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.